Purple said even Mexicans were better than the wheelchair shit. That's another thing I can't stand about. Which there was like a guy that made that Twitter post. I know I'm going on a backwards tangent here, but he tried to make that. He basically tried to smear Gary Gygax as this like white supremacist guy, and that like D&D is irredeemable. Did you see that?
No.
Oh well, there was like a Twitter post by some Jagov VTuber. It was like Gary Gygax was a white supremacist, all those problems, and like it's baked into D&D and all this other kind of shit. And I basically just replied to him. I was just like, it doesn't matter because what WotC is, the prog trash that WotC is putting out today isn't as good as the OG stuff that Gary Gygax put out. You know what I mean? So it's like, it doesn't matter, like what kind of moralizing, from a nameless, faceless account on Twitter, on modern day social media, from like mid-witted fucking, idiots who can't help but open their cock holsters, say Gary Gygax is still better than modern shit. And the fact is, D&D, the whole point of tabletop gaming is that you can literally, your group can make it whatever the fuck you want it to be. So, None of it matters. And all the posts, and because none of it matters, none of your moralizing matters, the only reason that you made this post is to sow division amongst the D&D community. In which case, fuck off, you commie scumbag.
Yeah.
But one of the things that Wizards of the Coast is doing is that they're like inoculating all the different races, like they're turning orcs just to be like coded as Mexicans. It's just like they're not.
Yeah, they're not
human, so stop humanizing them. Like, what are you doing?
Dude, it's so annoying. It's just like, yes. Dude, and of all groups, why? We were fine. We were chilling, alright? I had no fucking problems. But people are like, oh my god, everyone's being mean to the orcs. Like, we identify with the orcs. Why don't you just make them fucking black? They already identify with them. Why'd you have to shove them on us? What the heck?
Yeah, it's so... I know.
Bullshit.
It's so bullshit.
I didn't ask for this.
But the thing is, it's like, why can't the different races be their own races? Why do they all have to be coded as just a different form of human? Like,
yeah.
It's like you're eroding the creativity and the actual diversity of the game. And I fucking hate. I hate WotC so much. I still say that third advance is the best version of D&D ever.
Dude, people always ask about time, like, hey, Rose, I've seen this new thing that, like, Wizards of the Coast is putting out for D&D. Have you seen this new D&D thing? And I'm just like, no, I haven't. I don't. Here's the thing. D&D died to me with Tasha. That's it. Every now and again, when I look to, like, this spell list, I'm like, okay, I guess some of these spells are cool. That's fine. These can stay, right? Because it's stuff that, like, ends up making its way into, like, official. Because all they've done since Tasha's release, right, was... The whole point of Tasha's release was basically a love letter to wokeism.
Yeah.
And this, like, this complete lack of creativity, this lack of... It's not even lack of creativity. The root cause of this is that they're catering to a group of people that can't stand the idea of having to deal with consequences of their actions. That's all it comes down to. These people,
accountability.
If you look at, accountability. If you look at how the rulings are in Tasha's and all the things that they change, it's all basically from a standpoint of, I don't want to have to make sacrifice when I pick what class and race combo I pick. I don't want to have to be accountable for what I choose. I want to be able to change it later on if I want to. And I'm going to use this book instead of rules to tell my DM that I should be able to, and I'm going to turn into an argument, even if he rules otherwise. That is all that ruling is. That entire book is nothing but just, hey, what's that? We heard you don't like taking accountability. I got just the book for you. And then all of the actual content of that book is stuff that was taken from UA and dropped in whether or not it was ready. UA is Honest Arcana, by the way. It's the playtest material, right?
Okay.
So it's basically they took stuff from UA that was popular but not necessarily yet finished. They were like, yeah, just put it in. The point of this book isn't to put out content. It's just a love letter to this group of people so we can get their attention and get them to buy our shit. And that's why they've put out more fucking books since Tasha's which has only been like a few years, than they did in the several years since 5e started. And it's because they're just like, oh, well, now we have this demographic of people that are like obsessed with our stuff, and they'll just buy anything. So yeah, just keep dragging stuff out of fucking UA and just jumping into books. Oh, I wanted us to do let's make a book about dragons. Just take a bunch of dragon shit, just put it in there. Dragon themed stuff, boom. Right? And it's just, they're just releasing just tons of just like unfinished content, which is why a lot of it isn't balanced with the older material. And I find myself constantly having to rebalance spells, constantly trying to like fix things. I literally revised all of the cause I'm planning on playing a ranger for a campaign that Jacob is gonna DM on my channel. And I was like, well, fuck. I want to do the it's called the Drake Warden, right? Which is like, it's like a dragon rider type thing, right? But the issue is that this thing is built like shit. It's built the same way that the other animal, like Beastmaster one works, right? Where it's just not very good. It requires high commitment for very low quality, like for low benefit. And so I reworked the entirety of Drake Warden, and then while I was at it, I sat down with Jacob and I reworked the entirety of Ranger, so that you're actually incentivized. You actually have value when you invest into it, because the thing is that like a lot of the Ranger classes are built so that everything is really front loaded. So then you can kind of multi-class from there and do whatever you actually want. And all the later stuff is useless. But obviously for classes, subclasses that require investment, like the animal ones, like the animal taming ones or the dragon riding ones, right? For those subclasses, it feels shit to have to invest so much into this class, this really shit class that's really front-loaded. So you don't really feel like you're getting much benefit at later levels, aside from the stuff from that subclass, which isn't even that good.
Yeah, it's like that diminishing returns grind that just annoys you. Yeah.
Exactly. So what I did was I made it so that Ranger itself as a class a lot more balanced from start to finish. It's still a little bit more front-loaded, right? Just because again,
it's meant to be a little bit front-loaded.
But it's the actual value in the stuff that you get later on in that class. So you don't feel like you're fucking yourself over by not multi-classing at later levels, and deciding to actually commit to Ranger for the sake of, for example, those other classes, right? The Beastmaster class. I also made it so those classes don't suck. Those subclasses don't suck, because they do. It's for Drake Warden. I changed it to Wyvern Guard. I themed it around a Wyvern instead, using House of the Dragon as my end spell.
Nice.
But yeah, I'm excited to play it and like for Jack to see the stuff I worked on. So basically, the entire class and subclass that I'm using are entirely homebrewed. But like that's the thing. Like I've hit the point where like they're just releasing slop after slop after slop, knowing that all these fucking faggots are gonna buy it, right? No matter what. So they're not bothering to test any of it. They're not bothering. They're just like, yeah, just push out more books. Just they're literally just printing money. That's all they're doing. Just printing money, and people are buying it. People are fucking buying it. So like whenever someone asks me like, oh Rose, have you seen this thing? No, I haven't. I haven't looked at anything D&D related post Tasha's, with the like sole exception of some of the books that are like entirely built around just like not new rules, but having just like closed in stories, like the
I was gonna say locations and stuff like that, set pieces.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And one of those being the Van Ryten's book, which is actually where the Ivan Delisnia, the guy on the spider thingy that I sent you, that's where he's from.
Oh, okay.
That book came out like right after Tasha's, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, my whole thing.
And it's still mostly good. There's still a lot of stupid shit in there as well, but it's mostly good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like I mean, I'm not like a D&D aficionado, but the stories I've read about Tosh, like my thing is, it's like, oh, we're getting rid of racial traits and all this other nonsense, and like they claim to be doing it in like the name of like freedom, but it's just like unlimited freedom isn't a good thing. Like,
no,
you want some direction, you want there needs to be some guardrails, and the thing
all
is,
that
like,
does is that it turns every single player into a min-maxer.
And now that turns it into a min-maxer,
you have no reason to not.
Yeah, exactly. And not only that, but like it also like it diminishes like what the player characters like choose to be. But if you nullify all of like the racial traits and this limit and that limit or that bonus and this bonus, this this exclusivity, that exclusivity, you're basically saying like, oh, nothing matters then. Like choosing this is the same as
special.
Yes,
no one is special.
Yes, choosing this is the same as choosing that. You know what I mean? Which is like, yeah, congratulations, you have gained equality as you so foolishly proclaim to be your goal. But to do that, you've basically just homogenized everything into just boring, meaningless sludge. To the point where nothing matters. And it's like, I'm sorry, but if nothing matters, then I'm not going to get invested. And if I'm not going to get invested, then I'm not going to care about consequences, like you said back at the beginning. Like, it just...
That's what it all boils down. They're catering to a group of people that have been fucking catered to their whole lives. They're little fucking children that grew up on the internet, right? And they're used to being catered to, and they're not used to having to deal with consequences. The same fucking group of people are trying to like push up the fucking like age limits for everything because they don't like the concept of having to grow up and deal with like their own fucking shit.
Well, another thing that comes with that is commitment.
That's who it's pushing to.
Like
These
they're
people
terrified of commitment as well. Because like
I get. Like I'm also terrified of commitment. But like you have to understand that it's not because commitment is bad, it's because I've been fucking scarred and I have to learn to deal with that. Right?
But like just like playing a game like D&D, it's just like, when you choose this race or this race or this class, you're gonna get this bonus, but you're gonna get this detriment as well. You're gonna get this negative thing. It's just like, and to be able to commit to that to one or the other is basically accepting that detriment for that bonus. That's commitment.
So here's the thing. That a big part of the stuff that was changed was around the monster classes because all those come with negatives. Right. Most classes don't come with the negatives. The only negatives that you're missing out on all the cool stuff of another class. That's it. Right? You're committing to this cool stuff instead of that cool stuff. But some of the monster classes, they come with actual negatives. A big one is kobolds. The thing with kobolds is that kobolds have a like -2 to strength or some shit like that. They're like most classes like net stat gain is 2 or 3, right? From racial traits. For kobolds, it's like a 0. But the reason for that is because kobolds have an incredibly fucking strong ability that lets them have advantage on basically all of their attacks, as long as they're not in sunlight, which is pretty easy to avoid. Unless your DM's a complete fucking asshole. Which, you have other problems then, right? And so you have this incredibly useful ability, but it comes to a detriment, right? That detriment is that your stats are weakened. And you also, you have disadvantage in sunlight, but as long as your friend's nearby, that disadvantage is being cancelled by the fact that you're getting an advantage. And if you're not in sunlight, you have advantage, which is insane. Like, advantage means that you roll twice and you take the higher roll.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's really good. Right? And again, as long as you have friends with you, which you should because you're playing as a party,
you'll always be able to do
that.
The
disadvantage, you'll always be able to do that if you're not in sunlight. And if you are in sunlight, the advantage from being there with your friends will cancel out the disadvantage from being in sunlight. Because kobolds have sunlight sensitivity. So, they don't take damage from it like vampires do, but they have disadvantage on attacks and shit.
I always thought the monster classes... I've literally never played D&D before. And I always thought the monster classes would be the most interesting to play. Because because you have to deal with these actual disadvantages. And it makes for a more interesting scenario. With the party, a dynamic with the party, how the DM has to kind of... I think it's more fun for the DM as well. Because they actually have this this dynamic to work with.
Yep, there's that. And as a player, you have the challenge, right, of making something really good out of this thing that's inherently weakened, right? And like that's part of the fun, at least to me, in building a character. A lot of people will tell you that like a lot of people that play D&D don't do min-max characters. I do. I like to min-max my characters because I like to be as useful as possible or as good at doing a certain role as possible, right?
Right.
A lot of people just like to a lot of people like to just have silly concepts. Hey, what if I played a orc like wizard, right? That'd be funny.
Or an
right?
orc
A lot of
acrobat
people-
or something.
Yeah, a lot of people like to make characters that, break the norm. And if you make it so that the norm is that nothing matters, those characters stop being special,
Yeah.
right? No one expects the fucking kobold that starts with a -2 to strength to be a fucking barbarian. But you can do it. I remember I had a conversation with a friend who was one of my players who loved doing kobold, specifically. And the Tasha came out, I was like, no, I don't like this rule. And they're like, why? And I was like, okay, well, it's stupid, right? It defeats the whole point of having, like... I know this is someone that, like, growing up, I grew up, like, talking to this guy. And so I get why he feels the way he does, right? And I get what his home situation is and why he thinks the way he thinks,
Mm-hmm.
right? But the truth is, bro needs to fucking grow up. And that's it. Learn to accept fucking consequences, learn to deal with,
Yep.
responsibility, and fucking move on with your life. Get your
Right.
shit together. That's just the truth. Right?
Adjust, adapt, and
And-
overcome.
Yeah. And what ended up happening was that I basically explained to him, I was like, okay, well, check this out. Right? I'm gonna make a strength kobold, and then we'll talk. And I sprung up a character, a kobold, into the story who was a wizard. And this kobold was chunky. This kobold was a muscle kobold. So this kobold had 20 strength, right? It was a strong kobold. You'd expect him to be like a warrior or something, right? Nope. He's a wizard. He's a wizard staff, right? But wait, it gets better. He's actually a blade dancer. Blade singer. That's it. That's the class. Blade singer who specializes in fist fighting. So when he's out of spells, he just
Punches
enters
you.
a blade dance, puts his fucking staff away, and then goes around and like punches dudes with his intelligence buffed melee punches. So he's punching dudes for fuck tons of damage because it's dealing strength and intelligence at the same time. Because they're just magically buffed fists.
That seems broken.
Yeah, but you can do it. All it takes is like 14 levels. Theoretically, this actually comes online like level 15 or so.
Okay.
But it takes 1 level in fighter, just 1, and 14 levels in wizard, so you can get all the extra stuff like that you need for the damage and stuff, right? You don't need it, right? But obviously having the extra damage is what really makes it good. And then you can just go around fucking punching people. Like, I'm out of spells. Luckily, I have these guns.
That does
And you
sound
just go
fun.
around fucking, you start fucking bopping people. So I not only did I make a kobold that is a strength-based kobold, right? But I further made it weirder by making a strength-based wizard kobold. Like, you can fucking do it. You fucking can. It is awesome when you do it. And you're like, wow, this is stupid, but it works.
It's retarded, yeah,
Right?
but it's fun.
Exactly. And it's just like if you take away the value in finding little combos like that and like actually you are completely eliminating the build crafting aspect of the game by making it so that nothing matters and you just pick whatever you want.
You're literally replacing actual choice with the illusion of choice.
Yeah.
That's what you're doing. And they think that's good. It's like, God, I hate
Yeah.
these people so much.